Good morning, advanced drawers. And we are, can I adjust that camera? I don't know how I knocked it. We are looking at, oh my gosh, I did close that menu. We are looking at expressive self-portraits. Olivia's here. And hi, Olivia, longtime caller, first-time listener. You guys don't know that reference, do you? It's an old radio station joke.
I figured.
Yeah. Back in the days when we were running from dinosaurs. You guys are not seeing the post that I do for Lainey and Seth, right? You shouldn't be in Google Classroom.
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
No.
Because I try to compartmentalize as much as I can. So the advanced sculptor group gets theirs, but they probably all get this as well, because you know some of them are here. Those two art class are peeps. So we are expressive self-portraits, and we're going to try to get that done by Friday for our last project for after expressive self-portrait. Drawing is going to do a still life. I have a whole bunch of stuff here. I'm going to make a still life. I'm going to take a couple of different angle shots of it, and then they'll pick. But for you guys, I would like you to draw me. So we try to work on imagination. We tried to work on inspiration. We went back to some basics and did some basics. So I'd like your last project to be a free drawing. So not, I want to start talking about today so that it doesn't hit you with a lot of stuff next week, because I think probably one of the scariest things that we deal with as artists is blank space. I think the best way I can answer how to handle that is to look to the American artist Chuck Close and his quote of saying, artists are like everybody else. You have a job to do, you come in every day and you do it. And so I'm going to give you some time. I'd like you guys to have sketches by this Thursday, the 7th. And I'll put that assignment up here in about 10 seconds. I'll start typing of what you want to do to show me your abilities. Anything. So any genre, any style, any media, as long as it is drawing based, is good with me to go. I'm looking for a project that shows off your skills, your abilities. And I'd like something that shows me how you've improved over, over this wonderful COVID class. So, and then it says, it should say portfolio. Oh no, I didn't put in portfolio. So on the 15th, I'm going to assign it probably today, is I'm going to put down portfolio for you guys, and I'm going to have it due the 20th. As soon as you get it done, you get it done. All the portfolio is going to be, so I'm not asking for this, I'm not asking for an artist statement. What I would like is, I would like a slide or two, if you do a slide. If you do movies, cool. You can get OBS Studio. It's free if you want to just use your computer. If you have a Chromebook, I don't think it'll work on Chromebooks because you have to install it. But you can video record yourself and send me a message for your self-portrait. That includes like screen shares and all that. I'd like 1 to 2 images per project. I would like a reflection over each project you've done. And then I'd like you to, at the end, evaluate your feelings of how digital learning has gone. So that should be like 1 slide, and it can be as long as you want or as short as you want. Please give me honest feedback. You know, what could I do as a teacher that would have made this better? what did I do that helped you through this? Just so I know, because there's a chance that this could be happening again soon, and I want to be better prepared. We all understand that this was not meant to be an online class. Because it was an online class, I would structure things a lot different. So Tuesdays would always be our start of the week, which would mean all of your sketches would be due Tuesday, all progress photos on projects would be due Thursday, and then things would be turned in on Fridays. So every week you would have sketches progress, and then every other or every third week you would have finished work. And then anytime you miss stuff like that, I'd start sending emails and all sorts of things along those lines. But for COVID, obviously, this was and I hope I've taken care of it well. We are looking through our calendar. So if this Friday we finish our expressive self-portraits, and standard with me is I'll wait until Tuesday of next week before I put down late and missing. On the 15th, I will put down zeros for those things not done. And the reason we do that on the 15th is last day for instruction for seniors. Advanced people will do one small thing after the portfolio, maybe one small thing after the portfolio. So somehow I clicked off my PowerSchool tab, so I want to pull that up so we're all on the same page there, because I do have portfolio in there. So the due date of the 20th for the portfolio is just the turn it in by. Expressive self-portrait, we'll do one final freebie one. So inside of that, I'm looking for Doodle for Google, your comic book issue, your inspiration, your expressive, and your freebie. So 5 projects. Normally I try to get 7 projects done, but we understand this. Comic book issues, if I don't have those by this Friday, I'll start marking zeros down for those. The zeros aren't meant to, they're meant to remind you guys, hey, I don't have anything. Inspiration, so if I'm looking at it, the inspiration, so that'll probably become, so comics and inspiration both will hit zeros this Friday. And then that means the 15th would be the expressive self-portrait, and the 19th, the freebie one, is where I will say, hey, you guys haven't turned this in. That way everything's done for graduation, all set up, and all senior stuff is done. Anybody who's non-seniors, we'll just push that back a couple of days. All right, so that's our focusing towards the end of the year. Today is Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo for everybody. Anybody celebrating Cinco tonight?
Abby is.
Well, yeah, Abby celebrates everything though.
Oh, 100%.
Hundo P. Abby, are you making tacos for the family?
Yeah, yep.
When tacos are easy to do.
I made taco pizza the other night.
That's wrong.
You just can't do that.
Cannot. Now, I am a believer in Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, yes.
Pineapple on pizza is not my favorite.
This is from the person who made taco pizza.
Yeah, it was delicious. You can ask my mom. She liked it.
Just make a giant nacho.
That's literally what it was. It was a giant nacho.
I've made orange chicken.
That
I like
orange chicken, Abby,
Yeah.
that is the wrong cultural reference.
It's
No,
like
no,
cultural
like-
appropriation.
See,
Like, a while
Abby doesn't function
ago,
that way.
I made chow mein and orange chicken because I miss Panda Express.
You know you can go to Panda Express and sell that stuff.
I know, but like, listen, my parents won't let me out of the house, so.
Well, actually, I'm not going to say that Cole and I started a petition, but That
Petition for
Kickstarter
war.
went for like 4 million to keep you at home.
Wow.
China threw in an entire infectious disease that rocked the world. So that's our little mid-chat section there. As far as where you guys are project-wise, so going backwards, I don't think I have many comic books turned in, he said reluctantly. And then, okay, so do any of you have issues with your comic issue?
Yes.
Yes.
So let's find out what those are, because we actually did those all the way back in March.
My only issue is making, like, I guess the story, like, making it sound not crappy, I guess.
Okay, so did you go through the process of picking a theme for your comic, picking like a genre or a style for your comic, and then developing a story based off of those two?
Kind of went out of order there.
So that could be, for example, you can, but it causes you more work, is if you say, here's my character, and then you try to build a story around the character, but you don't have things locked down. So is your character from the 1920s? Is your character from the 50s? Is it modern? Is it futuristic? So that's the first one you need to do. And then what kind of story do I want to tell? Do I want to tell like a fun, happy story? Am I telling a story for kids, little kids? Am I telling a story for teens? Am I telling a story for adults? And then once you have those kind of things locked down, a genre and an audience base, then you design your character accordingly. So when we looked at Abby's characters last time, to me, those are, it's obviously a modern setting. And those are characters that, depending on the style she went with, she had a style that would be good for kids and teens, and probably a style that's good for teens and young adults. So once those things are locked down, then I start to develop my story. And really, you guys aren't making a whole comic book. A whole comic book is 18 to 24 pages. You guys are only doing 2 pages, or you're doing daily strips. So you want to know your story, your big story, and then what parts of your story are telling, the little plot points that you're hitting inside of that big. Plot points can be simple as a sentence or two. So my example to you guys is, I'm making a comic about a bunch of teenagers who have to stay home because of a pandemic. And if I'm doing a daily strip, I'm going to go through and just show different parts of a teenager's day. You could always, there's the joke that's always kind of underlying that, time is different for teenagers. So like, you could show your character like sitting in their room, like checking their computer, doing their homework, changing their clothes, brushing their teeth. And they're like, oh my gosh, time just seems to be going slow. And maybe it's an entire day that's gone by. Or maybe it really is, they've done a whole bunch of tasks and they did them all in like 15 minutes. And then they have to figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their time. So you could make a reference on that. Time is becoming very critical to a lot of people right now, how they spend it and what happens in it. Me sitting down here all day is driving me a little bonky. So your plot points could be, different activities that the character does during the day, and your whole story is how sensitive to time the character has become, or we have become. And that could be just in your comic. That could be your 2 pages of comic. You want to decide for the comic book, am I doing 2 consistent pages, a page followed by page? Or am I doing 2 broken pages? In a daily strip, you can just slap out your events in any way you want and figure out if you're doing a continuous or non-continuous story. So to me, before I get into the doodling part, I'm taking out a notepad and I'm putting down I'm answering some basic questions on the notepad that my characters are going to have to deal with. and then I'm going to go from that point. They are the same amount of work. Every time I teach this lesson, everybody asks me, well, which one has less work? They're the exact same. 2 weeks of daily strips in a Sunday is equivalent to 1 cover and 2 pages. Just works out the same. Inspiration, I have a lot of the inspirations in, but I'm still missing probably about 20-30% of those. Does anybody have any issues about your inspiration ones?
Did you see that I changed it and I turned in a different thing for my inspiration? I don't know if I put it in Classroom, but I definitely emailed you about it.
I remember seeing an email, but I saw the email and I immediately went to Classroom and maybe didn't notice change. Let me think.
I don't think I changed the picture for it though, but I know you already graded what I had. So can I still like?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay.
heck yeah. So if I go from inspiration, yeah, the only thing you have in Classroom it looks like is the original sketch. I don't have the updated one.
Okay.
So as soon as you get that in Classroom, it'll send me a notification that says an update. Though I've noticed I've had a couple of assignments that Google hasn't sent me a notification on, and I don't know why. So if you put it in and it's a day later and I haven't graded it, then send me an email and say, hey, this isn't graded and I re-updated it. So, because I only have that base one in there. As a matter of fact, if I look, pop out of yours, close that down. Well, that was too far of a close down. If I go into the inspiration one, out of the 9 of you, it's actually less. Out of the 9 of you, it looks like 5 or 6 of you have turned stuff in. So.
You have a question in the comments.
1, 2, 3, 4. I lied. It looks like 4 of you have stuff turned in and 5 of you don't. Though, Cole left me a message. That's what it was. Oh, hey, Cole. There's pictures in there now.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. See, it didn't tell me that you updated those pictures. Boy.
I turned it in over spring break.
Man, that really drives. So, yeah, because the last comment, there's a comment from you from April 15th, and it did not tell me that comment. Looks good. Your arms are a little short, but looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like your reflective mirror.
Very.
So I know we've talked about this. Okay, so this is we'll take another tangent because I think it's good for you guys. Cole, are you going to join club swim in college?
I know my mom would want me to. And it'd be fun, but I don't know if it's too much work.
I think swimming is probably the best exercise you're going to do. And it's relaxing. Heck, nowadays you can slap in headphones and swim, which is just freaky tiki. But I think it's something that if you get out of sync with it, there's always excuses to not do it. And as you get older, that list of excuses gets bigger and bigger. And then you get to my size and you start to get bigger and bigger. So I would highly encourage you to do it. Just as exercise and as relaxation, not the competitive nature of it anymore. But I would say do that. As we're talking here, I really like your focal points. Excellent use. Gesundheit. Good travel through, good bounce back and forth. I wish we had some more shading in it, but that is a good piece.
Sweet.
And I'm going to go into Power School now, and I'm going to update Power School.
100%. Minus my arms.
So 98%?
Well, they're short, so it'd be like minus. They're each like 0.5, so 99%.
Is that what you think?
Deal. I win.
All right, deal. It's turned in.
You have a question in the comments, Abel.
Did we need a ton of speaking parts, or is very little okay? If your action tells us what's happening in your comic, then you're okay. What I'm really more worried about is can I tell your story and your idea? So in the comic book, it's gonna be a little bit harder to tell the story, and I may need you to give me a paragraph that explains what's going on because you could be jumping through the middle of it. But your daily strips, it should make an idea of what's going on. I would say that you as the author, if they aren't speaking, you may be putting in a little transaction above their heads that kind of explains maybe some of the background detail. But there are comics that have very little to no words at all. All right, Cole, that should be back in your grades now.
Sweet.
So if we're doing daily strips, how many of those do we have to have?
Okay, so if you're doing daily strips, you need to have 2 times Monday through Friday. So 10 days total, and 1 Sunday, which should be in color. And I'll tell you this, I just was talking about this because Drawing is just now up to their comics. If I am telling a consistent story in daily strips, so Monday starts my story, and I'm going to carry it through the entire thing, I would probably do 1 week of story, Sunday, 1 week of story. So that way I have a beginning through end flow. If I'm doing just short little bursts, I'm just giving you little snippets of ideas. The Peanuts gang was pretty well known for just doing small little different events. Sometimes a couple days carry, sometimes they would carry it for a time, but usually they did like just little individual pocket stories. If I'm doing something like that, then it doesn't matter where I put the Sunday, and it doesn't matter the daily strips, as long as I have, I don't mess up chronological existence. So I don't have something that happens in a later daily strip that would have changed or precede events in the early one, unless I do a time warp episode. Kudo?
Yeah.
How is expressive self-portraits going?
Okay-ish.
Great.
You know, the way you guys say that just fills me with warmth and joy.
We're not going to talk about it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Other than that, that's our kind of whole plan right there. So does it, go ahead.
Our portfolio will be like our last grade, right?
Yes. And really, it's just a review of what we've done, and that piece on how I've done on digital lifestyle.
No complaints about your class.
Well, you know, I'm sure there's times where I've done some things that I could have done things better. Sometimes I watch my videos and I'm like, ooh, but then I don't edit them because it's how class would go, so I just leave it. Except for, like, you know, if something bad pops in and then I have to get rid of it. Like, you know, that one time Abby went nuts.
But you're like one of the only teachers I know of that's having a class and like actually did pretty well with the time constraints of moving to online.
So, not gonna lie, I've been prepared to do this for a while. I mean, again, if it were a real online class, I would do this different, but probably since the second year of my master's, I started thinking, you know, how could I teach what I teach on a daily basis if it were through a computer? Because times be a changing, and Abel wants to be at the cutting edge of time.
What do we turn the comic book in under? Like, is there a thing in classroom yet?
Oh my gosh, you know what? It's probably not open to you guys because it was originally, I would have seen it, but that would have been the Laney and Seth one. So I will make it right now.
Is Seth alive? Is he okay?
I think he's alive. So I'm going to put down advanced drawing, open comic. Wait a minute, I want to make sure I'm calling it the same thing. Open comic issue.
Stretch.
I think I missed an eye. Oh, there it is. Wrong spot for that eye. I like to say I've gotten better at typing over my life, but in reality, all right, I can take Sarah off of that list. I can take Ariana, I can take Seth and Laney off of this one. So that should be everybody else, 9 students. And the original due date, wow, that was a long time ago. We'll put it there, we'll put it there, and assign. All right, so now you guys have a turn-in spot. So any questions on your last project, the one that we're going to start next week, the free open drawing?
I'm just like drawing a blank for that one. I have no idea what to do.
So to me, over this trimester, if you don't know what to do, you're going to demonstrate to me what you did in improvement. So did you get better at shading? Did you get better at your use of color? Did you get better with your details? And that's what you're going to show me for your last one. Pick a subject that is important to you, something that means something to you. Don't just pick an apple because, hey, there's an apple sitting on the counter and I can draw it. If you're saying to me, hey, Mr. Abel, I've really worked hard on blending colors and making nicer, neater, cleaner colors. So I'm going to pick an apple and I'm going to do my best to use my color pencils to shade and blend it. Or I've become stronger with mixed media. So my apple is going to be partial like markers, partial pencil, partial graphite, and I'm going to blend that all together to make a full scene. Okay, that's cool. It's a simple subject matter, but you're showing me your skills. On the same note, hey, I think I'm going to draw myself as a superhero flying through a city, and I'm going to do, I'll be above the city will be below me, and I'm going to have all this kind of detail, and I'm going to be fighting a space monster called Corona. But if you're having a hard time doing perspective and you're not up to par on shading, then when I look at it, if it looks to me like you're not showing off skill, then that's going to cause an issue for your final piece. So your final piece should showcase to me what you do best, or what you've learned over the entire thing. If you turn in a blank piece of paper because you've learned nothing, I will be very sad at you, Abby.
Oh no, you got me.
I know, because I saw the picture already come through, even though I haven't put up the assignment yet.
So
Cole sent me a private message that said, "Hey, Mr. Abel, Abby's gonna send you nothing, like always."
Wow.
wasn't Abby like the only person that turned in a comment?
Abby is like always like in the top like 2% to have things done and turned in, or to make a comment like, "Hey, Abel, you forgot to give me a place to turn this in." The one was really bad. I must have deleted it out, and Abby sent it to me and said, "Hey, I can't find where to turn this in at."
So, can I recreate a photo like that a photographer took of like a wildlife something? If I feel like that would be also,
Yes.
Castle pencils, color pencils, like are they any good?
Do you have a picture of one?
They're on Amazon.
Send me the Amazon link over here real quick.
Oh, gosh, it's gonna take me a second.
And let me share a screen with you guys, and you can tell me if that's them. These guys?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a closer look at that. Oh, what the? There we go. So as I look at, so there they are on Amazon. I think one of the first things I would do is, so I have typed in Castle color pencils, and I would type in reviews. And there's this place called Best of Color, and they give it a pretty high rating. Though I don't know if Best of Color is sponsored by them. The Gear Guide has a January 23rd, 2020 rating on them. I don't know if I've ever bought those. They had some pretty nice sets. I wonder what country they come from. Let's see if it says in the. So it's UK. I'm just skimming through the thing right now. They say oh wow, that's nice. So the person says that the pencil, they have a similar softness of core compared to Prisma, but they had absolutely no shattering of the core whatsoever. And they use the red and green and browns in their speed drawing, so you can look at that. So this is, this person does a pretty good review, so I'll pop that back for you. There's one link. And then, so this other place that reviews them says excellent value, nice color range, lays down mostly good color. Cons, bright colors can struggle. Colored shell does not match core, and then questionable packaging. Pretty much they give it, it looks like a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're ranking it from visual appeal, usable duration, package presentation, value, and overall rating. They give them 4 or 5 stars. So the overall they give it is a 4-star, and that's from January 20th. So it does bug me sometimes. What they're talking about when they talk about that, the shell is at the end of the pencil. For color pencils, they usually put that color code to it. And a lot of times the paint that they coat with does not look the same as the actual color, which can become, so there's 2 links over there. It can become frustrating, especially if you're reaching over and you're just grabbing a pencil and you go, oh, there's my yellow, and you grab it, and it's not really, it's really a marigold color, or it's an more orange based. So they look pretty decent. The worst they give it is 3.5 on visual appeal. and it's just because they have a 72 count is their biggest according to that.
Yeah, I think that's the one
So there's a 120 count one. So I wonder when they came out with the 120. So those two links we'll set through, and whenever I'm looking for stuff, another one I might do is the Art Supply Depot. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope.
So there's one downtown and there's one in BG. They were started by, I think they were started by BGSU grads who are art people. And basically they carry not just high-end art supplies, but they carry a full range of art supplies. And you can call them. So they're on, there's my mouse. Actually, I'll just give you a web link, but I would contact them and see if they know anything, because they're not going to buy a product and stock a product that isn't going to sell, that isn't worth their time. And supplies, we'll go under drawing drafting and just see if they have it. They have a lot of pencils. They have a lot of Prisma. So I might call them and just see if they know anything about the pencil.
okay. Thank you.
Though remember, they may not be there right now. I would not call big box store art places like your, and it just because the people that are there are necessarily not going to be artists who use or work with them. Cool, cool, cool.
Yep.
So expressive self-portraits next week, and then free pictures. If you by Thursday don't have I almost forgot what day it was. If you by Thursday don't have an idea for your expressive self-portrait, you need to be in chat with me, and you need to sit down so we can throw some ideas back and forth until you get something to doodle. Because I don't want you rushing through and handing me something that, you know, should be used as fertilizer. He said politely. That's my dramatic lighting. All right. And Olivia, I think that got, should be shook. So I think that, did that answer your comic book question as well? Now that I added a thing into Classroom. Cool, cool. All right, so everybody sit down. Abby, you got any questions?
Not not at the top of my head.
Or abs? Have you guys been venturing anywhere or doing anything yet, or no? You still staying home and staying safe?
I went and got my happy gown.
No, I can't leave my house.
Did everybody get caps and gowns?
Yeah.
Does you know what? We're just gonna.
What's